Geostorm is directed by Dean Devlin, I believe, and
he's known for a producer in many
Roland Emmerich.
Disaster films
from Roland Emmerich, and this film stars Gerard Butler, Jim Sturgis, Ed Harris, Abby Cornish, and among others. And this is the story about a scientist, or basically about a satellite.
It's kind of like global warming.
Yeah,
global warming apparently hit our world, and it resulted in scientists all around the world coming together and built a kind of pretty much a shield around the country, around the world, blocking inside space, blocking for other natural disasters that's been pretty much killing like half the world in this era. Keep in mind, this movie actually starts going like way farther in, like 2025, 2030 type thing, so it's kind of like way in the future, but pretty much we need the shield to protect us from natural disasters.
Yes, and it stars Gerard Butler plays the person who created this satellite, and basically the story deals with him getting banned. Well, at the beginning, he's being banned from the United Nations or wherever, or I'm sorry, the committee from due to some hazard experience that happened with the experiment, and then 3 years later he ends up getting called back into it by the president after they realized that there was a disaster that happened with the experiment, with the satellite he made, which is called Dutch.
It's a Dutch ship. I can't remember. It's a Dutch something. And pretty much what's happening, it's been hacked, and the hacker is making like all the shields pretty much collapse and cause what we call a geostorm, which pretty much every natural disaster roll up into one joint. Yeah. And pretty much fucks this world up.
Yeah, and so basically it's up to Gerard Butler to be called into action to go back to the satellite that's in space and try to override it. And while at the same time he's dealing with his younger brother, played by Jim Sturgis, who's dealing with the situation with the president, played by Andy Garcia, and then also Jim Sturgis's fiance, played by Abby Cornish, who's actually the Secret Service of the president. Yeah. And I gotta tell you, going into this film, I pretty much felt like this is going to be one of your more one of your typical disaster type movies, because you gotta think back in the '90s, this was actually a big thing. We all the time in the '90s, we actually had a lot of these type of movies that came out.
Dante's Peak,
Deep Impact, Armageddon. Yeah, I think that I like the idea of them bringing back of disaster films, because that was a great decade we had those movies.
They could be done, but I get that a lot of you ain't got much you ain't got much range you can do with them, because they've done so many of them. But when I seen this film, unlike other ones like 2012 and all them, those were heavily promoted. This was probably the least promoted, marketed disaster film I've ever seen.
Yeah, because
all right, keep in mind, me and him really dig deep down into seeing what's coming out, and that's the only way you knew this movie exists. If you did not do that, and we're talking about the average moviegoer, a lot of people did not see this fucking movie coming. That's weird for a disaster film to go, surprise!
Well, because the first trailers we see were a few months ago, and that was very late too, because I felt like they would do more promotion. Because
2 weeks?
We got
the movie came out.
Well, 2 or 3 weeks before, I think it was about a month ago, they finally started seeing more trailers and everything. And
they were really minor too.
Yeah.
You didn't see much of that.
That's what I'm saying. Now keep in mind, this is going to be quite a spoiler-heavy review, so for those of you who are not wanting to hear anything about it, you can feel free to check out another review that's non-spoiler. But basically what we're saying is that this is a film I wasn't really looking much forward to, because from the trailers from the get-go, I felt like this is basically a greatest hits of every single disaster film we have seen from the 90s, coming from Deep Impact, Armageddon, even elements of Independence Day and stuff, because this director actually worked with Roland Emmerich on those previous disaster films.
And be honest with you, they ain't got much to work with, and I knew that disaster films, in my opinion, are starting to die off.
They are. Now, a couple years ago, we did have a good one that came out that we actually enjoyed, which was San Andreas, which I really enjoyed. But for a majority of the time, they recently, they haven't really been doing too well.
Yeah, I mean, I was 50-50 on 2012. you know, things I liked about it, things I didn't like about it, 50-50. I did not like Into the Storm, the pretty much fucking Sam's Choice version of fucking Twister.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't fucking like that.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I went and seen that in drive-in with another movie on opening night, and yeah, that movie, no. I didn't like that movie at all.
But with this one,
fucking CGI was fucking terrible. I remember a lot of people did not like that, and I agree with a lot of people on that. Yeah, it was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with this one, what kind of got me a little curious was I do kind of like the idea of them making like a satellite that basically controls the weather and stuff. Because, now look, I'm only going to bring this up because I've heard just little things about it. Because the film itself also kind of has this kind of factor into it. In a way, I feel like this is basically the equivalent if Al Gore pretty much directed a disaster film. I'm just saying in the fact that, you know...
He's basically saying that they're promoting global warming in this film. Not saying that him and I both agree or disagree with global warming. We don't get into politics, so, you know, don't ask us... Well, what's your take on it? We don't care about politics.
Well, I'm just saying that this is basically... I'm just saying this might have been like the equivalent of that kind of...
Because it is running off of kind of like a whole what if global warming was, you know, really fucking about to happen.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie's running off of.
Yeah, but anyway, what got me interested, at least was that concept with the whole weather machine taking over.
I want to tell you right now, and this is probably, when we talked about the pros, this is one of my only big pros I had. The concept is really great. I think the concept, if you write it right, can be fucking pretty menacing and kind of terrifying that can happen. Unfortunately, they take the generic action route, and this movie was fucking awful.
Yeah, it definitely was
fucking terrible. We're gonna get we got maybe minor pros, and we're getting our cons. I'm gonna tell you right now, this is probably the worst disaster film I ever seen.
Yeah,
and that's Into the Storm. Into the Storm know what the fuck they were kind of doing. They're sticking to one tone, but we're about to describe why we hate this fucking movie. Into the Storm, I can give it more credit in this film. This is probably the worst disaster film I've ever seen.
Yeah, so to basically get in the story of this, we deal with... Okay, now to kind of get some of my cons out of here, well, this is kind of...
Let's get the little pros. Since
we'll get the pros out of the way. Like, okay, the concept's good with them making this kind of weather machine to basically, you know, control the weather and everything. And I will also say some of the visuals were pretty good too.
Yeah.
A couple of times. About 25% of the film, when the visuals come up, like some of the waterfall sequences when the disaster's happening.
I like some of the lightning strikes. They're pretty cool.
A couple of times. There are some disaster sequences that are kind of cool with the way that they look at times, and I also did kind of like the whole way that you know, you're coming together with the way that things are unfolding with the way things are moving along with them. Well, it's just that
to a minor
extent.
Yeah.
So about 25% of the visuals are good.
And me and him's got the same pros on this.
And I'll say this as well. On a performance level, some of the acting in here is not too bad, like Ed Harris.
They're not too bad, but for a big cast, they weren't great either.
Yeah, so the performances are at least decent, but they're not. Ed Harris. Yeah, there's nothing really right home about it. I'm just saying, on a performance standpoint, they do fine.
They're okay.
Basically, here's now where we get to our cons. So to start out. Okay, the film opens with basically this committee that happens where Gerard Butler is basically being talked to by the committee or whoever's telling him about the satellite he talked about.
And he gets fired.
And everything. And basically first of all, they want his younger brother to step in to basically take over it.
Yeah.
Now, I have a problem with this because about 10 minutes later into the film, shit's starting to go bad, and it cuts to about 3 years later where he's fired and he's living on his own with his daughter in this mobile home. And
not even a scene later, they fucking
not even a scene later they hire him back because
that beats the purpose of why the fuck.
That's what I'm saying. This prologue sequences was completely fucking pointless.
Yeah, it was pointless, and I'm gonna tell you right now, the story is a complete fucking mess from beginning to fucking end. This is probably the worst toned, deftone movie I've seen all year. And I'm not saying this is the worst movie I've seen all year. Deftone? Yes. The tone doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be. We get the disaster promotion, right? That's only 5% of this movie.
Yeah,
it turns into a goddamn political criminal thriller. And even that, keep in mind, I get that sometimes you like to twist your audience and say, oh my god, I'm blown away by the twist. This doesn't do that. The tone does not match.
It doesn't.
Tone. You got 4 or 5 tones going on. Comedy.
You got drama. You got sci-fi. You got fucking disaster film. Keep in mind, those trailers, they don't reveal anything about. They were all letting you believe that it's all disaster shit. But guess what?
Only 10%.
A majority of the film is not even that. It's all about this political thriller bullshit that's happening.
The disaster happens maybe 10 seconds at the beginning of the movie, and then at the very end, all that shit you see in the trailers happens.
Yeah.
That's at the end. The end. So, what goes on an hour and 40 minutes in between the movies? Nothing but fucking death tone.
You got scenes where...
Oh my god.
It's basically a collab of scenes.
It's a collab
of scenes just happening.
Yes.
You'll have a scene where drama's happening with people talking and having emotional parts. You'll have a scene where people are having a fucking stupid joke that comes out of nowhere.
And these people are fucking horrible, dude. You're talking about characters coming in out of nowhere, out of the fucking blue, spawning like they're in Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
And fucking blah, 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 blah. I think I'm funny. And then they disappear. And like, what the hell happened to that fucking annoying ass motherfucker?
Yeah.
I know you're annoying, but I like my characters to have kind of a development, build up, resolvement.
Yeah.
This one doesn't have no build up, which why you don't feel no sympathy for Gerard Butler.
No, because here's where we get into Gerard Butler with this. Okay, Gerard Butler in this film, and I'm going to get to it later, he is basically the equivalent of Bruce Willis from Armageddon. He's the macho type guy who is, trying to save the world, has a daughter, like Armageddon, and he's trying to...
The fact that he uses and steals lines, and he actually... You can tell by the way his performances, he watched that movie and wanted to steal every
That's
line.
what I feel like.
Because, trust me, in this movie, they actually steal roughly 5 to 10 lines from Armageddon. And thinking that, because it's from the 90s, they won't remember, so we're still in line.
Not just that, but we'll get to this later. They actually steals fucking scenes from Armageddon directly.
In the
I'm not
final
kidding.
cut,
in the final 10 minutes. We'll get to that later. But anyway, with Gerard Butler, keep in mind, I do like Gerard Butler as an actor, especially in some films like...
But his character was
was fucking annoying. A lot of his scenes are him trying to be, he's
basically trying to muscle up. You ever seen Last Action Hero, how it's a satire making fun of action films?
Yeah.
That's what Gerard Butler is without the satire. They're trying to be serious in this film. And he's basically like, oh, my daughter, I'm showing off to my daughter and my wife and my girlfriend. Oh, now my ex-girlfriend's like, oh my god, he's so sexy, he's trying to save the world.
And a lot of his lines just come across where he's bitching the whole time, too.
He's bitching, but he's also coming out like he's a tough ass.
Yeah.
And you don't even buy his character as the smartest guy on the planet that built this.
Exactly. Not just that, but I shit you not, a lot of his scenes where he's having to, figure out the situation and everything, a lot of it's him arguing with his fucking younger brother throughout the film, which I thought was fucking annoying.
It did.
Yeah.
And even that, you get side characters with some of the black girl, and then the other black girl, and then you had the kind of like the Hispanic guy, and then you had the
like some of the team that's working with Gerard Butler that's on that satellite.
I found every one of them fucking painfully annoying, and it's only because they try to use this people as comic relief, which their comedy is fucking F grade. It is fucking, like, oh yeah, I'm sexy, I got this, trying to be funny type shit, and it's like, that was terrible.
It was.
That was fucking terrible.
And speaking of comic relief, we also get involved with this later person that's kind of learning about the situation. Well, okay, before that, throughout the film, Jim Sturgis, who's Gerard Butler's younger brother, he is, dealing with his fiance, who's the Secret Service agent and everything. Yeah. There's also this minor subplot that happens where he has a friend who's like this, I think he's like this guy in Hong Kong.
Dude, yeah.
I think he's like in China or somewhere.
Yeah, he's in Hong Kong.
And basically, he's learning more about, he's basically uncovering like some kind of conspiracy that's happening.
And then the shit happens in China. Yeah.
And then this guy gets killed, but the thing is, okay, here's why I find a problem. This guy is trying to give him information when he goes up to him, right?
And he kind of tells him the information. He
tells him the information, but he gets killed by this guy who's, I guess, working under the conspiracy
English-speaking Russians. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Especially when they're actually supposed to play that role where they're secret. So they're going to want to speak Russian, but speak perfect fucking English with Russian accent. They end up killing this Chinese guy. And then you had Gerald Butler's brother. Like, what the fuck's going on? Even though he kind of knows he was told the conspiracy. His brother's feeding the conspiracy. Then his brother shows him evidence like 20 minutes down the road. And then he acts like that's the first time he ever notices. So the editing fucking feels...
Yeah. This film cuts... The editing in this film kind of remind me like of last year's Independence Day 2, where it kept chopping scene, like cutting scenes left and right, going bam, bam, like going from one location to the next location and all that. And it felt like there were also characters in this film that never had like any resolvement like that.
There's so many non-resolvements.
So after he dies, the guy we just mentioned that got killed by the Russians.
Yeah.
There's this later character that comes in that's also this painfully unfunny comic relief character, that black girl who is also working with
that fucking furry hair one. Yeah.
Where basically she's giving him information, and then they have to work with him and the Secret Service girl. And then we never see her.
The world's coming to an end, and then she's busy telling that one fucking dude, "Your girl's on." Am I supposed to laugh at that? Really?
Yeah. Not just that, but what really is stupid is that this character never even comes back after that. I'm like, what the fuck was the point of that?
Talk about resolvement problems. There are some characters that come in this movie, and they just fucking disappear without a trace.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, you spend a majority of time with this person, but then you never come back to him.
I'm going to tell you right now, that hour and 40 minutes of turning into a political criminal thriller, that was a fucking turn-off.
That's the thing.
That was a turn-off,
basically,
dude.
this entire...
I was falling a fucking sleep,
this film's entire purpose is the fact that the entire time all the disasters happened is because someone in the government was fucking with the from the inside, was messing with the satellites.
The shit to become president. That was his purpose.
That was the whole purpose.
But yet he taxed countries that had nothing to do with our presidential elections.
Yeah.
So and that beats.
Well, and not just that, but this is kind of obvious because knowing that you have Ed Harris in the film, it's pretty fucking obvious he's the villain. Yeah. Like, he's the person behind all this shit.
A lot of people already can put it in the trailer. Oh, he's a villain.
Yeah. I mean, you're led to believe, I mean, the movie thinks of you to try to think Andy Garcia is.
You,
but no. Anytime you cast Ed Harris in a film like this, you know he's going to be the fucking bad guy.
And like I said, 25% of the visuals is good, but 75% of that CGI was fucking cringy.
Oh, especially that part where
it was bad, dude.
There's a part that takes place, I believe, in Saudi Arabia, and it shows like this tornado that's coming, and I shit you not,
India,
I'm sorry, in India, and this tornado is happening. I shit you not, it looks like PS3 graphics.
Oh, dude, I think PS3.
Or no, I'm not at PS2 graphics.
I'm talking about PS1, PS2, and PS2 being fucking nice. You're talking about graphics you see from Sci-Fi, like Sharknado.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this movie is fucking painfully dated. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm gonna tell you right now, this movie, you better fucking suck Michael Bay's dick on this one. That last half, you stole almost every other fucking line from, and identical scenes from Armageddon. And then, with the credits, you're playing the goddamn almost Transformers.
Yeah, it plays music that's very similar to the first Transformers movie.
Where it's the end with the sad song.
Yeah.
With the triumphant, but mixed with sad, and then it's like, Autobots, we gotta come back, and, and all that stuff at the end. They do that with this fucking film. I'm like, oh my god.
Well, not just that, but here's another thing, too. With the last 10 minutes... I shit you not, this literally becomes Armageddon, like, as a fucking remake. Okay, so, the final climax deals with Gerard Butler having to find out, well, yeah, when he gets to the climax.
Kind of, like, find out what's causing
everything.
And he finds out so easy, too.
Yeah, everything in this film is so fucking convenient. Like, okay, earlier, we're not trying to go over the place, but earlier there's a scene where his brother is finding out, like, this code that he's talking about. And I was like, he's talking to him through this video conference thing, because throughout the film, Gerard Butler's talking to his brother and the president, like, through a video conference on Earth. And, he's telling him something about his dad, like, going fishing or something. And I guess the younger brother was trying to think of that as a code or something. And all of a sudden, he finds that out fucking quick.
Yeah, everything to these people, these characters, are finding out fucking quick. And not only that, Gerard Butler, and this is the one I hear the most out of reviews, that's the biggest bitch. Gerard Butler goes through some fucking shit where the space station thing's kind of blown up and breaking up in pieces. He's getting shot through space, getting torn up. The fact is, he has no scratch, and his spacesuit doesn't get a scratch on it.
Yeah,
and he goes through some fucking shit, and it's like, it doesn't even look like a suit.
He's like, he's fucking Superman.
Yeah,
you know?
It just, and then they do that sad ending where, like, you think it's gonna be Armageddon, then he survives the impossible.
Well, before that,
oh my god.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. For Armageddon, I shit you not, the last 10 minutes where it involves him having to keep back where on the space station to try to disable the satellite.
Yeah.
This actually becomes a direct ripoff of Armageddon, because in this scene we have a scene where he's saying goodbye to people in a video conference, like Bruce Willis did in Armageddon. He also had another scene
he says his
where,
daughter,
or like
his daughter comes up, like, oh mom, and the mom who's divorced, like, oh my god.
Well, before that, but even before that, you know how in Armageddon there was that scene where Bruce Willis is talking to Ben Affleck and saying goodbye. They do kind of a scene like that, where in this one, Gerard Butler is talking to that. Well, no, he's talking to the girl first, and he's telling her goodbye and stuff, and then he does the video conference thing with his brother. So it's almost like, you know, it's like going in order. So
I'm gonna love you.
Yeah,
kind of like the end where he did Ben Affleck in.
And then he even steals a scene directly from there where he says, "We got the best seats in the house."
Yeah, best seats in the house. And then all of a sudden he becomes Superman, sits in a capsule, and then everybody magically out of 1,000 million debris perfectly shows, oh, that's telling us something. That's teleporting. That's doing telekinesis bullshit or something.
Yeah.
Some dumb shit they said, and they magically said, oh, that jar butt was inside that.
Yeah.
I mean, this movie, I'm gonna tell you now, I had a hard time wanting to fucking sit through this. This shit was unfucking godly painful. This is the absolute worst weather-related. You know, there's more shit I gotta watch. B-rated movies, theoretical weather-related disaster films. This is the worst I've fucking ever seen.
I think this is the worst too. And not just that,
my fucking god,
even,
it's so bad.
Even the characters, all the rest of the characters too, they are all literally carbon copies of other films.
They are.
Okay, it's cliches. You have, you know, the fiance that, you know, is working under Secret Service and stuff that we've seen probably in other films. You have the family guy, the guy who's the father having to save the world and shit. Yeah. You also have the family member who wants to, you know, come reconcile with the other family member and shit like that. You also have the comic relief that fucking doesn't shut the fuck up, but thankfully was cut short in some parts. Yeah. But even still, this is basically every single disaster film you have seen in the past. There is no difference between this and Deep Impact or Armageddon or anything else. It is literally the same film.
It's probably insulting those.
It is.
That's how bad.
I mean, take
making
it or leave.
fun of them. I mean, that's not even trying to. It thinks it's something.
Yeah.
It thinks it's got an Oscar-winning fucking movie. No, you don't. You got a fucking, even Razzles should laugh at your fucking ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to tell you that. With that said, this is the worst fucking disaster film like I said, I've seen, and I'm gonna give this piece of fucking dog shit 1 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably go for 1 out of 10 as well. This film was so bad to the point that
and it will be on my fucking worst of list.
I'm gonna probably.
Oh my god!
I'm gonna give this a 1.5 out of 10 actually, or 1.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Even though I do hate it, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like because this is basically every other film that I've seen, it's basically what I kind of expected it going into it. So it gets that for me. But it's don't get me wrong, I still hate this film, so it will be on my worst of my list. He's
a little tad better than me because I fucking absolutely almost. I'm gonna tell you right now, man. I almost want to walk the fuck out of this piece of shit, dude. So it was so fucking bad.
And it didn't help because we were gonna watch it in 3D, right? But we didn't get a chance to see it. So unfortunately,
I want to spend my buddy's money on that. I'm glad he didn't waste his money on that.
But overall, I don't
avoid it if I don't recommend it. Avoid it if you can. So
for those of you who have also seen Geostorm, What are your thoughts on it? Comment below, and if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel, and check out some of our other reviews, and also check out our website at filmfreaks.com, and we'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.
See you.